Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crying is a Free Action, a national peasant radio program. This podcast is about news and politics and the going-ons in our home states, North Dakota, North Carolina, all around the country, around the globe. And so we call it Crying is a Free Action because we like video games and tabletop games. We're going to talk about them later. And in D&D, crying is a free action. You can do many types of actions like move and attack, but your free actions are things like, yelling a taunt at an enemy or a warning to an ally. But we are here to remind you that crying is a free action. You can do it when you're face down in your pillow. You can do it under your desk, at your desk. You can even do it at the ballot box. And I think you should. I'm here joined by, as usual, with my good friend Al. And we're also joined today by our friend Taylor. Taylor, tell everybody who you are and why you're here to talk to us today.
So my name's Taylor. Been working in the military intelligence field on and off through the Navy, Army, and some contract work with Marine Special Operations. And, just delighted to hear the plethora of news stories about our classified information getting out to everyone. So I'm just here to give a little insight about how that's supposed to work whenever it's functioning as it is, and sort of really what the claims are being made about certain breaches and things like that, and how that all works out. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad you're here with us today. I am when Al told me that you would be on and be willing to talk about that, I was very excited. So before that, we're going to talk about a little local news. Before that, Al, do you have anything before we get into anything?
North Carolina's on fire.
It sure is. If you head over to easyvotend.com, it's a charity. This is all a charity organization that we put together. And so what we do is at my physical business, Parallax Games, we collect tips if you're so inclined, and we send them to charities. We were sending them to a wildlife rescue fund to relieve the fires in California, and now we're collecting money to help with the relief for the fires in North and South Carolina. And it's pretty bad. So I'm not saying that you have to, open your pocketbooks, but FEMA's not really here to help anymore because they kind of don't exist.
Get rid of all the government agencies.
If you're one of the people who knows me because you're watching this because you know me, I thank you. And if you're going to buy something, just know that that's where your money's going to go to right now if you tip us. So let's get into some North Dakota news so we can get to the juicier topics later in the show. The first one I have up is, hang on, how do I do this now? Oh, there it is. Oh, I forgot to add Monkey into this. Hang on, I can do this. This cannot stand.
What'd you forget to add me to?
I forgot to add you to this scene in OBS.
Oh, so you're going to do it live?
I'm doing it live.
Sick.
Yeah, we'll do it live.
Boom, there you are. Anyways, we got to go back to this now. So the North Dakota governor, Kelly Armstrong, issued the first veto of the 69th legislative session in North Dakota.
Nice.
Nice. Yes. I've said it so many times now, I just don't give a shit. So what this pertains to is giving businesses tax credits if they had purchased good through prison industry programs. So he specifically vetoed the bill because it would be anti-competitive because Rough Rider Industries would qualify for this. So
I'm sorry, what is Rough Rider Industries?
So I have some experience with Rough Rider Industries because prison for profit and industry is something that almost every state engages in, and I worked for the state prison system in North Dakota for about a decade.
Why would you name it Rough Rider Industries though?
We're the Rough Rider state, baby.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. Like when I think Rough Riders, I think like people actually doing stuff,
Oh, well, we do stuff. What, you don't think we do stuff?
not the prison people.
Oh, no, I mean they okay, so what Rough Rider Industries does is they make office furniture and things of that nature.
Oh, okay, carry on.
Yeah. So, um Rough Rider Industries is a for-profit, I believe, business. Actually, it could be non-profit. Who knows? Everything is tax sheltered in ways that doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is they use prison labor, and so I worked there for about 10 years, and it was one of those jobs that inmates really wanted to have because it paid like $5 a day. That was big money in the prison, right? And again, this was a few years ago, so it could be different now, but I highly doubt it. But they made a lot of office furniture, chairs and tables, and mostly like big conference tables and desks, like stuff that like a normal person doesn't buy. It's like things that you get, like I need 30 of these desks because I'm going to buy this office space and put 30 salesmen there, kind of thing. And so not only the state already has laws in place that if you're a state agency, you have to see if it's something Rough Rider Industries could do first. So, for instance, when I worked at the state prison, I have back problems, lower back problems. I wanted a standing desk. And they were like, well, we'd be happy to accommodate you. That's not the problem. It's that we have to see if, because like I just wanted a thing to like put my laptop on so I could just stand at a regular desk. It was like $60 on Amazon. And they were like, well, we have to see if Rough Rider Industries makes one. And I'm like, they definitely don't.
That sounds like the shit that the GSA and whatnot in federal government.
It's the exact same thing.
On a much slower scale.
Exactly.
It's the GSA does that shit, and they have specific vendors that we have to buy to.
Yeah. So I never got my standing desk. I used a old like banker's box of reports, and that just worked. Whatever. But anyways, I don't agree with Governor Armstrong on a lot, but I actually agree with this, and maybe not for the same reason. The fact that we're using prisons as a for-profit system is disgusting.
I agree.
I think it's a good idea. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of the guys are out there do enjoy what they do, and especially if like you got a life sentence, like you need something to do out there, and like the jobs are pretty all right. Not gonna lie, it's something I would like to do, like sit around and huff, varnish all day. Seems like a good job to me. But and I really liked working out there with those guys because they didn't want to lose those jobs. They were super easy to work with. But the fact that you're the one criticism I always heard from people who bought the product was, I can't believe that we spent 20 grand on this table for our boardroom to find out it was made of particle board. So, that's the kind of business they get up to. So they're making money hand over fist because the labor costs nothing. You have like 4 actual employees you have to pay and then a bunch of inmates. That's disgusting. They need to be able to teach these guys skills and pay them a real wage, especially when they're pulling in that kind of money. So,
yeah, but if you do that, how are they going to make money?
Right? I don't know. Maybe a prison system shouldn't be there for profit. Maybe it's they always talk about when you go to the legislative session, like you take the whole budget, you divide it in half. One half goes to the prison, and the other half goes to everything else. So we spend a lot of money on it, and this may be a way to be recouping some, but it just seems dirty. So I don't like it. I agree with Governor Armstrong here. Okay.
Maybe we shouldn't be putting people in jail for a lot of the dumb shit we put people in jail for.
That is a great idea. And maybe, and it's one of the things that I've told people is many of the people there who are there have life sentences, they'll never commit another crime in their life. And in fact, sometimes the crime they did commit was the only crime they've ever committed. And in places like Norway and other Swedish countries and things of that nature. They have a maximum sentence of 21 years unless you're like criminally insane. You cannot be in the public kind of thing. I wish the United States would go to something like that. So the next one is the Senate defeats an amended conversion therapy bill. Monkey, what's conversion therapy?
Isn't that what they do to kids at school?
No, DEI's dead. It's fine now.
No, I'm talking about the how your son will go to school and then come back your daughter.
No. Wait, maybe. It depends on what.
I thought it was the other way around.
Oh.
Your son goes to school gay and comes back straight, or has to go to church camp or some shit.
That's what it is. Okay, that's the one.
Okay,
that's the one.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I get all these stupid ass terms confused.
So what can even the bill wasn't even really meant at aiming at banning conversion therapy or anything. The wording behind it happened to be about counseling and things of that nature. So people who have issues with their gender and identity and things of that nature who are seeking professional help, what they were trying to do was enshrine a part of the state constitution to say that, hey, basically you should be able to get conversion therapy if you want it. And it was like, and so they brought up that nobody was like harmed by this not being there. There's no victims. There's no anything of that nature. And there were no like qualified like applicants to write about it, but there were like a dozen social workers and things of that nature that are like, this is not how we do things. We don't tell people like, oh yeah, if you're trans, you should definitely be the other gender. That's not how counseling or being a social worker works. And so even, a good thing is even a bunch of Republicans in North Dakota stood up and said, that is overreach of government. We do not enshrine in our Constitution what an ethics committee about a profession says. That's left up to them. And so that's a good thing. But this lady here, her name was Van Oosting? I can't remember. Hang on here. Lori Van Winkle of Minot.
Wow, what a name.
Yeah, I know, right? She's going to be added to my list of politicians you should not be voting for on www.easyvotend.com. You should go there and check it out. Al said he's going to write an article for us here soon, and I'm very excited for that.
Now I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So
to see Al write an article.
He went to a fancy university. I'm excited too. So I'm glad this was defeated. And in North Dakota, actually, in the past, has outlawed conversion therapy in pretty unanimously. It's not really been a hot button issue, mostly because whenever you bring up the brutality and things that happen at these so-called conversion therapy places, it's always horrific. It's never something good. Because it's always like, well, they stripped me naked and played gospel and sprayed me with water for every day at 4 a.m. It's like, yeah, that's gonna drive people to join the circus. So, not a great thing, but good that we defeated it. Also, with that, into the next story. This one was actually a commentary piece by Faye Seidler, who is a big-time trans activist in North Dakota. And she had some good things to say about getting help when you need it. And, especially if the news got you feeling down and things of that nature, there is help out there. If you know who I am and you're watching and you know who I am and you need help, you can come talk to me anytime. I am not hard to get a hold of. Always make sure that if you are in a crisis, dial 988. That is the suicide and crisis hotline. So there is help out there. Do not make a permanent solution for a temporary problem. And then, so this is one I'm excited to talk about a little bit, because I was, well, you can't be at a telephone town hall meeting, but I was in attendance of this telephone town hall meeting. And it's funny in such a small state how you see familiar faces all over. And so I talked about a few weeks ago that I had attended a they called it a district reorg, but it was sort of a Democrats are showing up and bitching, and how I was like, well, I didn't expect to see somebody I know here, and then I saw a bunch of people I knew, and I was like, well, this is really cool. And then while I was in this town hall, one of the callers in was a parent of one of my customers. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Yep, it's nice to see people in these places. But the crux of the matter is she really likes Trump. She wants to do whatever Trump says. Her whole gimmick was Trump's got a plan. You got to trust his plan. And even when people would press her harder, and she did the whole thing of like, well, I didn't censor any of my calls. It's not like she really answered anything either. She said the same 3 or 4 things over and over. Trump is so brave. Nobody's ever tried to tackle the problems Trump has ever tried to tackle before. And it's just like, okay, nobody believes this anymore. Like, what are you doing?
You mean all the problems he created?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, oh yeah, and that's a good point. So she kept bringing up this poll of like 77% of Americans think America was going in the wrong direction. So they elected Trump, and I was like, maybe they thought we were going in the wrong direction because they knew Trump was getting elected. So I don't know, but it was really disheartening. I'm sure she's not a bad person. In fact, I'm sure she's probably a very nice person. It's just really,
she just looks kind of dumb.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely that, she's towing the company line, and that I think North Dakota and not just North Dakota, but all Americans and all people of this world deserve better of their politicians. Just saying like, nah, man, Trump's got it. Like, no, what are you doing? Like, we have legitimate questions, and even. And we'll get into it a little later, but somebody brought up on there, and actually everybody, I really highly recommend. We have a VOD of it up on the YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com/easyvoteND, you can find us. We're finally getting the audio issues figured out, except in the VOD of that where I doubled my voice audio. Anyways, you can still watch it. It's not horrible, but you can see for yourself that she just says the same 3 or 4 things over and over. Trump is brave. He's never tackled this before. Trump's got a plan. Trust the plan. 77% of Americans think America's going in the wrong way. That's why I remember it so well, because she said it over and over and over. So, what do you guys think about these like non-town hall meetings that they do like this?
I mean, it's pointless in my opinion. I mean, well, why have it if you're just going to parrot the same few things and restrict the activity?
Yep.
At that point, you might as well just stream a video and you can have a bunch of bots.
Yep.
I think that's actually what a lot of them have turned to do. Like a lot of them just have stopped going to town halls because, I mean, it doesn't work out. The people aren't like. It seems like these. I mean, this is kind of like an age-old problem, but like they get elected, they go to Washington, and then they work in Washington, and they don't work where they got elected. So this is like you go to these town halls and you just realize.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because it reminded me of something that she said. Because at the beginning of the thing, now it's not like her and Trump are thick as thieves, because she said she was like, I finally got a opportunity to meet the president, and then I was like, oh, so you're just an actual puppet, like. And it's the same thing. And then she said, like, well, President Trump said he would think about coming to visit the farms. And I'm like, you can't even get that motherfucker to come out here and look at a farm for an hour?
Yeah, because he don't care.
Yeah, he don't care. So,
you don't give a shit about regular people.
And so that's the whole thing. So go ahead and continue, Taylor. Thank you.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's kind of the issue. And I've heard of this happening in a couple of places where they either get A, shouted out, or just B, just stop having these sort of like town hall type things. It's just because it's like it almost does them. It seems like on paper to them from a political standpoint, like if you show face, it's going to work well for you. But it's sort of like if you don't say anything and you just continue to be the creepy bad politician off in the corner somewhere, like it can't get any worse,
That's a
But
good
then
point.
if they actually go talk to their constituents, that's when it actually can get worse.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's almost like it seems in the political calculus sense of things, just like safer for some of them just to be like, nah, we're not gonna go talk.
And that's true, but it still just comes off as absolutely shitty and cowardice. So
Yeah, I mean,
we have, speaking of town halls, we have another town hall that happened in Fargo. So this happened last Tuesday, I believe. And so
yeah, look at all those Democrats.
I was gonna say this is North Dakota. That is a sea of white people.
All of them Democrat.
Is there a person of color in that picture at all? Nope. Now I'm sad. At any rate, we at least people are showing up because they're like, I just put on the sheet. I'm like, people are just pissed off, and like I think I'm curious to know. So the one thing that Julie Fedorchak kept saying is like, oh, we're not going to touch Social Security, or we're only cutting Medicaid today so we can spend more tomorrow, and all that. That's again, she said it 4 or 5 times. But it's just like when they finally cut this Social Security thing, like people are going to start calling for like, can we recall the president? Is that something we can do? So I don't know, man. Seems like they're trying to speed run this thing. How'd you think that would go?
I mean, it's a lot of different spending issues, I think, because they're just, they're like, it's the same thing with like Doge. They're just like, well, we got to completely, it's the move fast, break things mentality.
Yeah.
And I think Trump's just like consigned off to just be like, whatever they say happens, and I'm not really actually going to pay attention. It seems like he's more himself personally, just about his like standing and status more than it is. Yeah, he wants to golf, but he wants like standing and status, and for them to mention his name on Fox News a lot. He doesn't care what Elon or whoever the hell says it. But I mean, like, it's not. It's really like it just honestly, you could wind back the clock, replace Trump with Bush, and then Musk with what's his name? Cheney. Yeah. So I mean, it's just like somebody who they are, but somebody who's not telling you what they're actually doing is doing something in the background.
Oh, absolutely.
And then there's going to be some like weird plan that comes out from it. But I mean, I think it's what's probably going to end up happening is,
hey, at least they had the decency to do their corruption in the dark.
Yeah. In this case, I think what you're going to have is it looks just a lot like any other like cycle. They just came in probably going to lose a lot of seats in the midterm because they're not going to do anything. But the other thing is like the people are concerned about like an economic downturn that would have happened anyway. Like this was not really avoidable. I mean, like, the Fed made some bad decisions, probably. Yes. We've made some other not so great spending decisions. But like the economy is just going to have ebbs and flows anyway. I think what people are looking to is like when it gets bad, what are we actually going to do about it? And then I just feel like for all of what they are saying and messaging, because that's what they do, they're politicians, they just message towards things. They're not really like trying to give you what their plan's going to be, 1 to 2 years down the road. I think it's probably just going to have to be a wait and see kind of thing. But I mean, they're going to say stuff like that, like we're taking away Social Security today so we can spend for it tomorrow. But then there will be a lot of public outcry, and then some bill will get passed, and the next budget resolution come October is going to have some. You're just going to see basically the sort of, what would you say, the average, I guess, of the things they wanted to do versus all of the complaints they got about it. Then the budget bill comes out in October and probably gets delayed till who knows, fucking January. But that's going to be the ultimate calculus of like how far did we get by showing up and being pissed off. But I like the idea that people in like North Dakota and other places like that are sort of coming out and getting more involved in civics and stuff like that. Because the other thing is like there's a lot in local government that can get done that can be like a very meaningful difference in people's lives.
Absolutely. People don't realize how important that their city, county, and state laws are around them, and how what it affects in your life. And sometimes, not that we take it for granted, but like if they don't change, you just know about it. Like nothing changed in North Dakota from when I was a kid until I was like 28. Like that's how easy we had it here. And then things started to change, and I'm like, oh no, what do you mean? Like stores can be open before noon on Sundays now? What a time to be alive. So
why? That's terrible.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not open Sundays at all. Fuck that. So yeah, I'm really not happy with the administration. And speaking of protests, I'm going to one next week on Saturday.
Nice.
It's my first protest ever, I think.
Gotta pop your protest cherry.
Oh, hot.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna make a sign. I have not
big thick sign.
I have not decided on a slogan. I will be happy to show pictures of it. I am going to get glue and glitter, though. I'm going to make it look really, really gay. So that'll be fun. So that's all the North Dakota news I have. I'm really excited to go to that protest. I think I'm going to actually break out my good camera and take some pictures and video and stuff. I'm not going to take my phone, but not like... I'm not hard to find anyway, so maybe it doesn't fucking matter. At any rate, I actually, in honor of Tommy, I have one more piece of North Dakota news that he sent me before this, because we did talk about it a little bit, and it was with Ray Holmberg, who was a former North Dakota state senator, who was just sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for a sex tourism scheme. Yeah.
What does that mean?
So he went to Thailand to bang underage.
I was actually about to ask if he had gone to Thailand or like fucking Malaysia or something like that.
Tourism.
Like, listen.
Jesus Christ.
You want to know the craziest part about this whole thing? You can go to Thailand and bang an adult, and it's not a crime. How about you just do that? How about don't have sex with children? Job number 1, don't eat people. Number 2, don't have sex with children. All right?
Did they... I mean, not... I guess weirdly in the interest of defending people, but like, was it like a thing like he was actively seeking out like I gotta go to Thailand because I can bang underage?
It sounds like it was the judge literally said too much pride, arrogance, and entitlement.
Oh, evidently he went to Prague too, not just Thailand.
Oh,
he wanted some of the...
I don't know.
Wow.
So shows what I know about Prague, but
Prague. Thank you, Tommy. What a prince. 14 times between 2011 and 2021 to meet underage boys.
Holy shit.
Gross. Just gross.
I wish I had the time and the money to spend on... I had all that time and money and could
wait,
other better thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. I wish I could do that.
Everybody else is like working 2 jobs to scrape by.
Yep.
Just to be able to have tourism back to their house, and then this guy, that's what
traveling to Europe to have sex.
The man is now 81 years old, so he's gonna die in prison. Again, as somebody who worked in the criminal justice system for many years, in corrections for a lot of it. I also worked with sex offenders a lot, and I'm not this like, kill them all kind of type guy, but also like, I'm kind of glad you're going to rot in prison, so bye. Thanks, Tommy. In honor of you, I have a Florida story. This is in West Palm Beach.
That's not where Tommy is.
I know that, but it's in Florida. Give me a break.
All of Florida is connected.
That's right.
That's true.
So there was a protest at a Tesla dealership.
I love Tesla.
I love Tesla too. I love Twitter Guy. We're going to talk about Twitter Guy a lot in the second half of the show because he won't shut his mouth. Anyways, there was a protest at a Tesla dealership, and a dude tried to drive at some people who were on.
Oh yeah, I saw that shit.
Yeah, it's not great. Hang on. This video is not related. Oh, it's not going to work now. That's okay. There was just a good video in the background of a bunch of Tesla dealerships burning, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, the one thing I was watching the internet today, I highly recommend them. If you are watching this and you think we suck, go watch Internet Today. They do this, but much better. They were talking about how Florida is both a state that has a stand your ground law and the run over a protesters law. And I'm just very curious. So if that dude tried to mow down a bunch of protesters and then somebody pulled out their piece and shot him, how would that work in court? Florida, you got to let me know.
I think doesn't that fall under the stand your ground or whatever?
Yeah, it probably would. Oh my god, why is Discord so bad? Anyways, or not Discord.
You try to look up castle laws, I think, is where you
so that's what we have in North Dakota is the castle doctrine, and actually the stand your ground law is a little bit like more like it has a little more leniency, but not really. It kind of has to do with like your duty to retreat and things of that nature. So it's not.
How can you retreat when somebody's driving at you?
Exactly, but that's the thing is if you are in a place where you are. Where you should be relatively safe from harm, you have no duty to retreat. That's kind of how the law works. So that was that. Like I said, people who mess up Teslas, well, maybe not regular Teslas. If you mess up a Cybertruck, you're cool. If you mess up a Tesla dealership, you're mega cool. But we don't advocate violence.
Yeah, we're not endorsing for you to go out and do.
I don't endorse violence in any form, but property damage is not violence.
Don't go do stuff and then say, "Oh, that guy on Easy Goat and D told me to go do it."
Yeah, tell him the demons in your head did it. Tell him heavy metal told you to do it.
Tell him I love Tesla told you to do it.
Yeah, tell him Tesla told you to do it. I read it in the Bible. Anyways, so with that, Monkey, I'm told you have a prepared book report, and I would love to hear it.
What book report?
I thought it was Of Mice and Men. All right, just talk about Signal instead, then.
I love that book.
Yeah, I do too.
It's such a great book.
I do too.
And the band's all right too. It had hit or misses in my opinion. I wish they kept their old vocalist, in my opinion. That's a tangent and a half. Sorry.
No, that's what we're here for. All right. Anyways. So in lieu of a bunch of
international and North Carolina news, which really the only, I guess, valid North Carolina news that I bother to share nowadays is that North Carolina's on fire.
Yeah.
Because there's no more FEMA and all the park rangers have been fucking fired. Well, not all of them. I mean, a lot of them. Enough that it impacts the ability to do regular shit like controlled burns and the like. But anyway, so in lieu of that, we're going to talk about this massive fuck up that happened this week at, I guess all over the fucking place, because one of those fuckers was in Moscow when they shared this shit.
Yeah, this was a bit of gross negligence, to say the least. So, yeah, where do you... there's no particular place
no particular place to start. You say whatever you want to say about it.
Yeah, right, so to start, it's not so much that the shit was leaked after the fact at this point, because everybody knows that we bombed the Houthis. Everybody figured that out because they made the news, etc., etc. And what was egregious was the fact that they were sharing this information over an unsanctioned, unsecured, fucking non-government fucking platform that it's just I don't even know like who the fuck does if it had been anybody from a regular like if it had been me or Taylor, we would have been fucking we'd probably be in Lebanon.
It'd be high treason.
It'd be some shit.
So the other yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
So the thing about it is that there's a couple different moving pieces here that you kind of have to sort of be cognizant of, because it's partisanship on both sides. Actually, to that point, Legal Eagle actually made a pretty good video about the whole debacle, just going through all the pieces of it, even though he has some pretty partisan takes, which is fine.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of those channels are.
Yeah, the big takeaway here is that you have this reporter who's definitely left-leaning and not at all pro-Trump, who gets this is the funniest part to me, is that they bring on this guy, put him in their like chat network. They apparently didn't notice he was there, and also didn't notice when he left, which is hilarious. But essentially what he says is like, hey, I'm kind of privy to some conversations that I don't think obviously I should be listening to. For one thing, not just for the official purposes, but also for the there were some things I think that were said there that were probably some sensitive and or even classified information. And then their response is basically all over the place. Like Hegseth starts off by saying, "Who's this guy? He's a crack. Why would you even listen to him?" And then later on, they're just like swimming in their own glory because, sure enough, like I think it's Department of State head of state was Department. I forget his name, but he's like, "Yeah,
Rubio?
actually, that was us." Who?
Marco Rubio.
I forget their names. No.
Mike
Wasn't
Waltz.
Rubio, it was the.
He's the.
I think it was Waltz, because
Yeah.
Waltz.
Yeah,
so
Waltz
one of the
Waltz
guys.
is the national security guy.
Yeah, so they end up confirming later on that, oh yeah, by the way, that was us. And then you have all these hearings where you've got Tulsi Gabbard and all these other people coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, you got Tulsi Gabbard and fucking Mike Waltz all but saying Tulsi Gabbard wouldn't even acknowledge she was in the chat, and Mike Waltz was over here all but trying to say that Signal is an acceptable method of communicating.
Oh my God.
But then when he got pressed, so here's what he would say that, oh, Signal is installed on my government computer. Signal is an acceptable method to communicate work stuff. And then when a senator asked him, so you're saying that it's legal to share classified information, he would backtrack and be like, that's not what I said. So then what are you saying?
Right. And so here's what I'm trying to get at. Here's the juice that they're trying to do. They're trying to, and this is like a whole weird little move that they're trying to play. They're trying to steer you into this place where you're asking them, did you share classified information, which they get to answer no. Now, I will say this. I looked at the journalist. Look, there may be other documents out there that I haven't seen, but I've looked at what he said was war plans, finger quotes, war plans, and then they're classified.
Yep.
I can tell you with almost 100%. Go ahead.
I don't think he actually released any of the what would have been considered classified, because I'm pretty sure the guy has more fucking OPSEC following abilities than any of the people in that chat. So
right. So this is where the problem where you run into this, because either the journalist is saying, hey, I didn't actually release any of the classified information, and then you just have to take his word for it that he actually saw classified information, that it was in the chat at all. Because I don't know that a journalist would actually know what is secret and TS just by looking at it. He shouldn't. And even for me, it's hard sometimes, even though I've been working with it for years. Like I like these things are classified for very specific reasons, and they usually will tell you. And like after a while, But a lot of times you'll look at a document and be like, "There's a lot of information here. I couldn't tell you what specifically is classified."
Listen, if it says
not classified,
if it says bombs will drop at GPS coordinates, I'm gonna be like, I probably shouldn't see that. It's probably
right. No, and so here's the juice about it. Right, is that you can have a document, because I did see the release document where it had Pete Hegseth had listed off like times where strikes occurred, and then like 2 F-18s X. I think maybe they might have listed weapon systems, but I don't remember. What they didn't list was
weapon systems.
What they did not list, or at least I didn't see, was anywhere where they were going to strike. So what you have is times, and this is hours before it actually happens, times where they're going to strike potentially, even though I'm not 100% sure what that's saying, because it just says time, and then it says like 2 F-18s, and then it lists some other little information. But like it's not saying strike will happen at this place at this time. So what that's actually saying to me is that's not actually classified information, because it just doesn't meet any of the criteria of what you would have for secret or TS. I can 100% say it's not at all TS. I can mostly say that it's not secret. But here's a little interesting aside about that is we used to have this classification which was just confidential. And we have since gotten rid of confidential and replaced it with this other thing that is it's either controlled or confidential unclassified information. And it's supposed to be this like catch-all thing. And no one has mentioned it yet, but this information to me should be CUI. Now CUI should never be on Signal, should never be on anywhere other, because it's supposed to be treated with not the same severity, but in the same process as the way that secret and like top secret information are treated. Right. In that you have to put it out through like official like emails and stuff like that. They go over unclassified networks, but they have to go, most of them have to go over like official internal channels. Network emails. You can't use, and it's like you were saying earlier, you can't use Signal because we don't own it. We can own our own version of Microsoft, like Outlook, for instance, and we can have a secured government version of that that's just firewalled off from everything.
Right.
We cannot do that with Signal. And you could never do that. It's a little bit more secure, and I will say that like we use Signal a lot, and even WhatsApp for reasons that I don't know, just to communicate between like teams and stuff like that. But like it would never be for like official stuff. It's just like, we're coming in at 06 instead of 07 tomorrow.
Sure.
Like that's the kind of information you would pass.
And
it's just you would have to do that with a text message or a phone call otherwise. So Signal just happens to be the slightly more secure version of that. That's it.
Because it's encrypted end-to-end messaging, which
text
messages are not, and Discord is not. So
so it's supposed to be the only time you're really supposed to be using Signal, and they were, it seems, mostly from what I read, the only time you're really supposed to be using it is when you're doing stuff that you would normally do and say over a regular phone call or a regular text message, and it's just supposed to be a slightly more secure version of that. Now, if you're starting to tell people
that you're gonna bomb,
hey, this is gonna happen, we're about to drop some bombs, that's like way all out in at least CUI.
So you should not say over the phone like hello, hello.
Yeah, but exactly.
Hello,
but
Carl.
Then they can come back and say, but it's not classified.
Okay.
So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you.
Here's the other issue is that now all of a sudden they found out that all these people's personal information has been freely available on the internet. Their passwords, their emails, their phone numbers, and things. So it's possible.
For a lot of their different accounts, which is funny. I think I'm pretty sure that Tulsi's fucking Signal account was available out on the net. And
you should add her to our chat.
And it was actually active.
I'm gonna be really weird to her, really sexually weird. Anyways,
the reason not to, I guess, but I mean that is what you're highlighting here is that like somebody like the Russians could have gotten a hold of that.
So
anybody you could just say.
I'm sure they already have.
Is it possible then because of things like that, because maybe they weren't vetted correctly through the top secret process, that people were already privy to this, and that the journalist wasn't even the first spy to find out?
I mean, calling the journalist spy is kind of stretched.
I mean, I'm trying to be cool to the journalist because, good on you guys.
I mean, it's good. I mean, there's probably reasons. First of all, it's kind of weird that he didn't, because I got to be honest with you, like, under most circumstances, if you spread information and if you're a journalist, you didn't sign an NDA, and then you go on to spread like top secret information. Because here's the thing, if it's not portion marked or something at the top of the thing, it's not saying this is top secret information. It's just information as far as you know. And so if you spread it out, unknowing that it is top secret information, there's like no laws that they can...
there's nothing they can really they can take against you, right?
So he's really just kind of doing this at this point, I think, just because he wants to play ball and play nice, because he figures like later on the administration will be like, oh, well,
we're going to come after you.
Yeah, and I think it's just like the same thing. If you're working for a large media corporation, you do want to play ball a little bit with the government because you want them to invite you to their press conferences and such like that, I think.
Well, if there aren't actual independent, journalists and news organizations there, then we're just trusting the word on whatever the press releases say. Yeah.
So I mean, it's good all around for him not to just be leaking out all the information, whatever information or whatever documents. But But and the other thing is that I think a lot of people will get kind of confused when they hear top secret chat, and this is another thing that it just feels a little bit disingenuous, because they'll say top secret chat with war plans. There is no like top secret chat that exists that the president is on his phone. It's not a thing.
Right.
Like it's
Absolutely
a separate network. It's not like it's firewalled off from the regular internet. Like it's literally physically not connected.
Correct.
Like it is a separate thing. That is what the compartmentalization process is about. So it's not as if you could be accidentally added on your Signal chat to where they're discussing readily top secret information. It's just not supposed to be happening at all.
So why would they use Signal instead of the thing that was built with task and purpose?
Well, again, this is why we use Signal all the time. We just don't use it for that purpose. And he did actually have one of his messages said, I forget who it was, either Hexeth or Vance, said, President wants answer by this time, check high side.
Sure.
He wanted some input thing high side. And what they meant when they said high side was either JWix or Sipper or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably JWix. So what they're talking about is that is the network in question.
Correct.
That is the place where they're actually having the top secret discussions. So when he says that, that really is what Signal is supposed to be used for, because you'd have to do this with, like I said back in the day before we had Signal, you'd have to like do this in over text message. You'd be like, there's an issue, or I'd get a phone call because I'd left Watch, but somebody had a question about what I did on Watch, and they'd call me up and be like, either I need you to come in,
right,
or I need you to like this is an issue. There's something on high side that I need you to take a look at next time you come in and give me more information about it. And
Sure.
The idea is I'm not telling you anything about what's going on. I'm just telling you this is where you need to look.
Sure.
And that's what Signal is supposed to be used for. The idea is
it's one of those things where like we have every organization has its internal messaging system, its internal database and server system that's not really connected to anything else. You need to use that for this because we know it and we trust it, kind of thing. And so, with the way the documents and things go, so again, I don't think that what they were discussing was necessarily inappropriate, because like you said, they were talking about like having, this is something you would have over a phone call or a regular text message kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is that when something like this becomes documented, which is the law, it's classified in such a way that isn't so it's to redact information. It's more to protect personal identities. Correct?
Well, it depends on exactly what you mean. So, and I'll give you a little bit more context in this one, because Legal actually went over this and it's really good. Here's another crux of the issue. If you had a message traffic, let's say on JWix, or if I send an email on JWix, those are official military records.
Right.
Because they're official government records, actually, which is an even bigger issue.
Right.
And this is something we have to have training on all the time, is not just... because I guarantee you now that this has happened, there's going to be more. Everybody across the DoD is getting more like classification training on like spillage and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but another thing that we train on is records management, because it is actually illegal for us to just willy-nilly delete official government records.
Yep.
But then you have to ask yourself, is a Signal chat, especially if we're thinking about it in the context the same way I would, I use it as a like just daily driver communications tool between my team, is that government records at that point. And then you get really kind of touchy-feely with a lot of different people about what is and isn't a government record.
Sure.
It's very simple if it goes over like a government like protocol system, but if it goes over text message, like if I text my girlfriend and say, I'm going into work, it's going to be at drill at 6 a.m. tomorrow, technically that's in reference to what's going on in a government thing, but you couldn't but you could never call that a government record.
Right. A government record, right?
When I was in law enforcement, and I had this happen several times, I would keep notepads on me for taking notes and things of that nature, where I had to they would confiscate them, as they're like, no, these are records. And I was like, I guess so. Like, I only use them in the course of my job, so it makes sense. So,
right.
But
and so
where does the line
Signal
get drawn?
Signal's not supposed to be that. And I will go ahead and I mean, I'll add on this too, because this is what I was talking about with CUI earlier. this whole thing that the whole message where he talks about like the F-18s taking off and like hitting strike points and stuff like that, that's just never ever supposed to be on any sort of communication. Like,
Sure.
honestly, it's not even really imperative that he knows that. You know, it's not even really.
No,
like,
not
he's not
really.
launching the
realistically, not
F-18s.
the
Yeah,
second.
no,
He
not
doesn't
really.
have. He just needs to know, like,
He should be
like
sipping his
they're
wheat
launching
tea
at this
somewhere.
time. Did they succeed? Did they not?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I
makes
mean,
sense.
like, you just get to a point where like there was so many different levels of like this. You not only did you not really need to know all of that information.
You
I
didn't
mean,
need
it's
to
okay that
share
you
it.
did. It's really not a problem.
Yeah.
You certainly didn't need to share it on that with
Yep.
that like group chat. And if that was a thing, if those people are at work, right, then
Right.
they're sitting likely at a desktop that has JWix on it. You do not need to
You don't
send
need to be
those
doing it on
messages.
phone.
And if a guy,
Which one of them was
guy
actually in
XYZ,
Moscow, so
exactly, and that's what I was going to say. If guy XYZ is in Moscow at the time and he gets the signal message, he does not need to know that. He can wait till he gets back to his JWix machine to figure out what's going on.
I'm going to be honest with
He's
you.
clearly so far out of it.
If I was a diplomat in Russia and that was a message I got over Signal, I'd be like, motherfucker, what are you doing? I'm in Russia. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna find that.
Yeah.
So
and that's another concern is that like it's not just the way like I don't think there's any great expectation that the Houthis could find out, but if somebody else finds out that that's
Right,
happening
like-
and can warn Houthis that this
Right,
is coming,
correct.
that's another.
if it had told somebody else that wasn't that fucking journalist, they could potentially have leaked that information because Hexeth clearly that not just Hexeth, I think it was also Vance actually mentioned directly the Houthis before they talked about that strike happening.
correct.
Which again, like you kind of toe the line there because some of that is just like diplomatic, like, and this is sort of another thing that I guess that this is what I was really trying to get at earlier. Is there are like government proprietary secrets, and secrets in the sense that you just probably shouldn't tell anyone this. It's not for the best, but they're not classified. Like you could never consider them to be classified.
Sure.
And that's really one of those things. Like I mean, this has to go on somewhere in some chat somewhere, I guess. So, but like.
This is something that should have been a briefing.
Yeah, like you probably should have talked about that somewhere, and then like we'll talk about it offline later, and then just had a conversation with, whoever it concerns, in person or over the phone or in some like sort of more secure channel.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But it just doesn't need to be a text message. Yeah, like we might strike the Houthis. Because it's just a conjecture. That's what's happening. Is like a lot of that is just like Vance is saying, well, I don't think we should do this, and I'm like, that's great, but like, why are you putting it here in this like Signal chat? It's not like we're giving our opinions on memes here. Like this is official business. Like there are other places you could have discussed this that would have gotten like it just wouldn't like nothing's gonna happen for you just sitting in a text message and saying, I don't like it. Like that's not gonna change anyone's mind. Like that's not official business. So you're not gonna like. It's just like
cool story, bro.
It's one of those weird things. He's almost like he's posting. It's almost like somebody put out in a post that says we're going to attack the Houthis, and he's just commenting under it like, "Oh no, man, I don't think we should do that." Like whatever.
Well,
like that's his, I guess, mindset on it. But
me
it's
and
just,
Tiny Pants agree.
Yeah.
So the question becomes then is like if this is something that isn't normally really done or tracked by people at this level at this kind of detail, like why are they doing it? And why, like, not only they're doing it maybe because they're bored, they don't have enough to do, they're not gutting the government fast enough.
I mean, I don't really know. I don't understand it. I mean, when during Trump's first term, when he had Mattis in as SecDev, you didn't really see General Mattis doing any of this shit. Like you didn't really see him talking about any strikes at all.
No, because he was a real military guy.
he talked about policy in terms of like how it concerns our national security and our international interests. He wasn't talking about like, oh, we struck these individual targets and we did blah blah blah. No, we don't. Then that it would be somebody at a lower level than him who does that.
Right.
And I think that's the other thing is that like for someone like Mattis, because that's all I think everybody who's been in the service or done this long enough kind of understands that sort of structural thing. There's this whole thing about delegation, right? And so somebody who's putting together a strike package, like somebody at CENTCOM, is responsible for putting that together, planning it all out, and then like essentially POTUS or somebody on their level just kind of gets like this, hey, yeah, we're ready to go. We might give you a briefing on how many targets they intend to hit and like what it all looks like and what he's going to have the final say on something if it's big enough, if they think it's big enough for him to be concerned with it. He's going to have the final like green light, go ahead, do it. But like that's it, and then it just happens, and then you get the report on how much when actually happened and didn't happen, or if there's some major incident. It's not bad for leadership to kind of be like, hey, give me a status report every so often. But for somebody especially like Mattis just expects, I've got guys on it. Like somebody I trust is doing it. Like I don't need to know how many fighter jets were launched and how many like targets were hit. Like that was already either kind of given. Likely that was already given to them in the briefing. They already knew this was going to happen. And that's the other weird thing. It's like it just doesn't seem like if you were a person who is privy to this kind of information already officially, you already know. You like those times were already kind of
it
like
in the chat. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, this was already briefed to you. Like you already knew these jets were going to take off and hit these targets at this time because this was already something that
maybe why the response was so lackadaisical. It's just like, yeah, give him 3 emojis. He's proud of the people he murdered. So I guess the question,
it really is bizarre.
That's where we're kind of getting to is like why are we doing this? And also the big issue is so a totally independent, highly left-leaning reporter was invited by Mike Waltz to the chat. Mike Waltz goes on Fox News and he's like, "What? Don't you all have people in your phone under the wrong number all the time?" And I'm like,
his phone number got sucked in.
I'm like, because it's a government thing. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? Nobody is buying this. So the theory is,
I mean, they're buying it, but
I don't think they'll be buying it for much longer. But the theory is that he might be a leaker to The Atlantic, which I think would be hilarious.
That would be fucking hilarious. That would be amazing.
Yes. And I love that Donald Trump was just immediately like, "Oh, it's a washed-up magazine, man." And I was just like, it's like the only magazine I remember the name of anymore.
So sure, but I mean, like even more to his point, you would have already forgotten about The Atlantic even longer ago if they hadn't given him access to their Signal chat where they were talking about things that they shouldn't have been talking about in Signal chat. Like,
yep.
This is just levels of bizarre on top of each other that I just like. It is really weird because nobody fucks up and accidentally lets whoever the janitor come into the skiff who's not read in. Like, you don't let that happen, but letting somebody into your Signal chat,
right?
Like, this is just why does he even have his number? Like, what are they, buds or secretly?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just so many things.
Damn it, Tommy.
So, and that's kind of where I'm getting to with all this is it's just like, regardless of what side you're on, you gotta start thinking about like, are these people competent? Like, what do we?
I mean, it's been pretty evident that they're not. And it's been pretty evident since day one that they're not.
And you can never tell somebody a fact. They have to come to it on their own. And I think we're gonna start seeing it a lot faster here.
I don't know, man. I'm not holding on to that.
You're not hopeful.
I'm not hopeful.
I've
seen people defending it and then talking, and I've seen people actually saying shit like, "Oh, why are Democrats mad that the Signal chat was going on, but not that the Signal chat got leaked?"
Agreed. And so, don't get me wrong, there are problems on both sides, but I think...
Well, I mean, I don't really see a problem with it being leaked after the fact because it's not like the journalist leaked it before the strike happened. If he had leaked it before the strike happened, that would have been a completely different thing.
But that's also one of those things of like, one, he didn't think it was authentic, which is
no, he didn't.
Which I think is a reasonable thing to think, honestly. Yes. So, and that might have been one of the scenarios where if he had leaked it in the 2 hours before the strike, maybe there is a law then that they're like, oh my God, now you endangered people. We're not going to make this about us. We're going to make this about you.
Right.
Well, you could try that, but it's going to fail on its face because, like, he didn't know that it was top secret if it is top secret.
That's
he didn't
true.
know that it
Right.
was secret if it's secret. He doesn't know that it's classified.
Yeah, he
if
didn't
it's
sign
not
anything
classified.
when he got added to
He
that
didn't sign an
fucking
NDA.
chat.
Nope.
Yeah, he doesn't have an NDA on file. He's not supposed to be there. He might think it's a joke. He's like, lol, look what these idiots are trying to send
See,
me.
now that would
And
have been the
then-
Chad move.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He can feign stupidity, and there's literally nothing they can do to him
Yep.
because, like, it's all the way in their court. They let him in there. They did something they probably shouldn't have been doing. And I agree with you. Like, there's really no instance in where this should be like using Signal Chat to be there. You can just be like, hey, we're meeting in the ops room to look over this. Like, we're going to go to the situation room.
We're having
at
a
7.
We're having a Houthi bomb party.
These are top
We're having
tips.
a Houthi bomb party.
When Mike
Yeah.
Waltz adds you to the Signal Chat, because he will, you can just be like, LOL, here it is on Blue Sky. Oh shit, a bunch of people died. And see, that was the other part about this that was like, oh, of fucking course, because we're the United States. Civilians did die in the strike. And that's bad.
Yep.
And I have not served in the military. I have my own thoughts about how collateral damage and things of that works. But I think it sucks. And the fact that they were celebrating at all was just ghoulish. And that the fact that they didn't approach it of like, that this was a sad fact that this is where we got to, also just sucks. Like, knowing that they are just like, yep, fuck them, yep, send the bombs, screw them all. Like, it sucks. Like, I'm fairly certain that there is probably a definitely a non-violent resolution with the Houthis that we could be working toward. They just don't want to.
Well, yeah, I mean that's its own that's
its own different
It is.
topic. I mean,
yeah, because the Houthis are backed by Iran. They're not going to really stop doing anything until Iran stops doing things. So it's tied into its own network. We're in a place now where there's really no one country that could go talk to one other like group or country and everything would be solved. Like, you kind of have to negotiate.
We're all neighbors.
Web.
Yep, we're all neighbors living in this world house.
But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a weird time. It's weird to see that. And I mean, like,
so
go ahead.
Because what they did was definitely not the norm and definitely not advisable. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is completely against like pretty much all of best practices. But again, like I was saying earlier, like, I don't think this is ever going to go to any kind of trial. But like, if what they did, if what they've talked about in that chat does classify as collateral or controlled or confidential unclassified information. It's been a long time since I took that training. Somebody needs to take the training again, and he's me. Then that, you know, it has its own set of rules, which are like not as punishable, obviously, as leaking secret or TS information, but you know, it has its own set of rules that it's punishable by. You know, so it is still its own crime that they've committed.
Correct.
So, I mean, if that qualifies, which I think it does,
it probably does. Like,
so I mean, you do get people saying like, "Hey, you can't have this whole locker up speech anymore, and we can't really be talking about like other people." I just think what's going to happen from now in is just like every time somebody leaks something actually classified,
yeah,
like you can't have this administration coming out and saying how horrendous it is, because they're just, I mean, it's not even just that they're doing something that's wrong, it's then they're like completely buffoonery inviting this like left-leaning journalist accidentally into their chat and then not noticing when he leaves. So it's just like you did the wrong thing and you got caught in the dumbest way of doing it.
Dumbest fucking way. See, that's why this is like the worst fucking timeline. I mean, if these people are gonna be as like, I guess, you know, what's the word, as fucking anti-democratic as they want to be, at least fucking be competent about it.
Yeah.
You know, like.
So I read an article earlier. I didn't include it, but I want to bring it up now. because it was talking about how a DHS staffer faced serious punishment for
Oh
accidentally
yeah, you
adding
know,
a
I
reporter
read that
to a group email. So,
that was unclassified,
correct. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
and she got fired.
Yep, sure did.
Yep,
But
she got
Right.
fired.
even though.
Which is not, yeah, I mean, that's not the same as like imprisonment or,
No.
some other sort of fine, but it is like they lost their job over.
It's a
It is
big
pretty
deal.
weird how they lose their job, but the people who we left in
But
charge of the government
right.
are the people who. But
And
at the
that
same
was kind
time,
of
like,
the point I was going to make, is that like these are people who are their bosses, you know. You know, if you're a secretary of anything, you're above the director of anything. So they should be held to the same standard, if not higher. So all of these people, in my opinion, should probably resign. So
that would
Yeah,
be,
good luck with that
I
one.
would. Yeah,
I'm
something
not
like
saying
that
anybody
happened.
needs to go to prison. We don't need, again.
No, they need to be look, what it comes down to is that if this had been like, if the foot was on the other shoe, you know they would be calling for the resignation, and
Exactly.
you know they'd be calling for people to be fired
Yep.
right away. Not even a fucking doubt.
Um,
Which, I mean, realistically, this should be this is a nonpartisan issue. Like I've said that before. This is a nonpartisan issue. It doesn't matter who's in fucking charge, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. If you're fucking incompetent at your job, you should not be there.
Agreed. Not hard. And
I do sense like a strange normalization of this coming about because
I agree.
But I think that's
the
one
other
of the
thing
things
is,
people are upset about, and that's what part of these
Yeah.
protests are for. So it's a good thing.
and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
That I'm happy about. I'm happy that people are not ready to see this.
I'm
become
here for
even though-
reform. I like reform.
Reform the norm.
That's right.
yeah.
I don't like the norm.
Well, and that's another thing is that I do think people in their positions have become kind of reliant on like the sort of, I guess, 3 news cycle step of like erasing every serious thing that happened from people's memory, but like it's
Right.
just kind of
Like
not
police and
sticking
big government.
anymore. Yeah, it's just not sticking anymore because of stuff like this. I mean, like people are talking about, things that went on 3 months ago when they fucked up. There are things that went on even in the last administration.
Even in the
they
last,
fucked up.
like, it's funny because now that this has happened with Pete Hegseth in included, everybody's kind of going back to when he said that Hillary should have been locked up for those.
Yeah, I love that. I love that clip because they've been blasting that clip. But he's just
Yeah, they've
sitting
been
at Fox
fucking
News or
blasting.
something, and they're
And,
just
and
being
I'll
like,
be
"Hey,
I'll
remember
be
that time you
totally
said?"
honest with you. I was really upset about the Hillary Clinton stuff because there was legitimate information in there that could have made U.S. Soldiers and employees and stuff that could have put them in danger, and I don't like that. I don't want that.
No, this is if,
Nobody wanted
if
that.
there was nobody likes that. If there was actually, like, information that shouldn't have been there, you should absolutely have been fucking locked up. Because one, you're storing government information on a non-government system. Like, I don't remember what the outcome of that was, but obviously she's not in jail.
No.
I don't remember what the
Yeah.
whole reasoning
No,
was. for
she's
her
rich.
not-
She won't be in jail.
Of
She's
course
rich and
not.
she's white.
I gotta be honest with you guys though, like, and this is just, I mean, you take this for what you will, but like, I cannot recall most of the classified things that I've looked at in my life, and like,
Yeah, neither
would
can
want
I.
to store those things at my house. Like,
No,
why? Like,
not
there's
even a little
so
bit.
many not interesting things that are in all of that you would ever want to see in your life ever again.
It's the same thing with like redacted like government things. A lot of it is just like personal information about like with the JFK files. I've been reading the JFK files. I've been looking at stuff on the JFK files. And so much of it is just like, oh, that's obviously somebody's fucking address. They just don't want somebody's address there. And it's like, he lives at black line. Where he is a black line is just like, okay, he lives at this address or works at this address, and this is what he does for a job. They just don't want you to know that. And that's most of the stuff that people don't realize is the stuff that's getting classified or redacted.
Yeah, all this shit is pretty mundane.
Yep.
Like, there's no reason for anybody to, like, take this shit home.
No, and
You know,
also
for this, for like, and then he talks all this shit, right? President Trump does, and then he goes the next term, and then he has like boxes and boxes of this shit stored in Mar-a-Lago, and
in
I'm
the
like,
bathroom.
dude, could
it was
you
coffee
imagine?
documents.
Could you
It was
imagine
records of his
somebody's
wins.
job? Because he didn't do this, so somebody's job is take these old fucking cartons of copy paper full of shit ass documents that say God knows what stupid thing that either you A would have already known just by being a citizen of the planet and paying attention, or B like is something so asinine and very arcane that like you would be bored,
It wouldn't.
like
It
you
wouldn't
would be like
any
drooling
sort of,
from your mouth by the time you were done reading it. Like I can't fucking believe.
Yeah. And the only issue is he didn't want to get caught. He didn't be like, oops, sorry, like Biden did. He was just like, no, go put him in the incinerator. Go put him in hole 8. They'll never find him out there. There's a water hazard.
And to be fair, like they have proper like because it's paper documents. There's like there are destruction. Yeah, there's like destruction processes that you can go through.
Yep.
That almost anybody can do.
Yep.
And it's destroyed, and then you're like, we don't have any classified information because I just destroyed all of it.
Yep. Or
and then it's done.
But even before that point, when the cops literally show up and they're like, "You got classified documents, sir." No. Like, just say yes. Just be like, "Yeah, my bad." And all they do is just be like, "All right, you got to hand those over." Like, just let him look around. He wouldn't even let them look around. Right, but my point
is you can't oops my bad like several fucking reams. Like somebody had to pick these up and laboriously move them with their fucking hands.
Oh yeah.
To where this is. It's not like oops, I accidentally downloaded like 18 terabytes of classified documents.
Right.
Like, all right, that was 2 clicks. This is like somebody moved this into the bathroom.
Well, I mean,
over the course of like an hour and a Coke.
They have documented conversations of like, you need to hide these. Like the cops are going to be here. So that case was a slam dunk, and he don't work there no more.
So the whole thing moved the box.
Jack Smith, that counsel who was working on the document case, yeah. I mean, that case was a slam dunk. So
it should have been, but
he don't work there no more. And also, the agency that also he now works for and represents him. Lost a government contract because of that, which is, again, not legal. So we'll see how that plays out, because they sued him along with 2 other agencies who had happened to totally independently at the same time. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty weird one, but at the very least, like, it's going to be weird now when... Because the other thing is, I remember back in about 2016... no, actually, it was about 2015. Around that time, because there had been we had to get more trainings because there had been some other leaks. Like some people had leaked some other stuff that's classified. Yeah, something like that before there was War Thunder forums, and it was a big to do. And then this Hillary Clinton thing happens, and we're all like pointing fingers and be like, "Yeah, well, can you imagine if it was one of us?" Like, haha, weird, yeah. And then like I'm saying, the proliferation of like it's on a Minecraft server now. Somebody went onto the War Thunder like fucking chat, and it's out there now. Like that has gotten more, prevalent, and now like the people who are in charge are also fucking this up, like slam dunking it so hard in the wrong direction. Where you just like
Pete Hegseth had been on a Minecraft server and said this stuff, the reaction would have been totally different. But I also think I would have been more on board.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he had, I don't even know. But like, the whole thing is that just like now they don't have a leg to stand on when people start like actually dropping like large. And it's the same thing. Like, I guess I don't know about. I didn't follow this that closely, but I think Elon accidentally like linked everybody into some TS stuff and or classified stuff, and then again. He has the ability to accidentally fuck that up. I think most of these guys wouldn't understand that these are on 2 separate networks, and you'd have to like literally plug in different cables to different places. But Elon has the capacity, I do think, to royally fuck up and put a lot of people on some
big balls.
Yeah.
All right.
I think they have the chance to actually fuck that up. But again, what are they going to say?
The kingdom.
Yeah. What are they actually going to say whenever like somebody else starts like leaking all of their shit? like who are they gonna go after?
Yeah,
like you guys broke the rules, and it's like there are no rules anymore.
Nope.
You've left that behind.
It's really interesting to like. We're not there yet. Obviously, there's a long way to go. But like watching America slip into like a second world country, it's like yes, government leaks. Soon I'll know the exact dimensions of the interior of an Abrams tank. So
wait, you mean that's not available yet?
Oh, it probably. I just haven't looked. I'm sure it's widely available. I'll get on the War Thunder forums and asks tonight. So, I need to know where the 19-year-olds who load the shells store their Copenhagen.
Oh, well, they would just happily tell you that. It's all over.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's not OPSEC.
It's not OPSEC.
That was my other favorite part.
It's kind of OPSEC, bro. Like, if you let everybody in the company know where your fucking Copenhagen is, like, you're gonna lose your Copenhagen.
I mean, yeah, but like, I'm gonna bring enough for everybody because that's the kind of guy I am. My favorite part about the Pete Hegseth thing is like, hey, OPSEC is good. In Signal.
That had me laughing.
So I was just like,
hard.
I was
like, are you sure about that?
No,
here you are violating. Oh man, that was funny. Like, because the weird thing about that is that I've seen things like that before, where it's like, first of all, like there's no instance where you can say definitively OPSEC is good.
No.
Like that's been like, never. Hey, the enemy doesn't know we're coming. Like you wish the enemy doesn't know you're coming. You don't fucking know that. You would like to believe that. You think you are very sneaky. Yeah. You have rolled whatever you rolled on your fucking sneak check.
Yep.
You think you're very sneaky.
Yep.
You do not know if you are sneaky, but you think you are very sneaky.
100.
I'm really glad you threw in a D&D reference for me. Thank you.
I'm glad. I mean, I'm trying to make it more understandable for everyone.
So
but yeah, is it?
OPSEC is one of those things. Okay, so I want to explain this to people a little bit who don't understand. It's operational security. And it's things like, okay, I said earlier, like, I'm going to this protest and I'm not going to bring my phone. That's like OPSEC, because your phone can be triangulated very easily and you can find where people are for over a long periods of times very easily. So I'm not going to bring it with so they can't track me. Except I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of myself and put it on a website, so what does it really fucking matter? But, like, it's also things of, like say, for instance, when we would go... it was a big deal when we would do a lot of undercover stuff when I was a cop, like compliance checks with like alcohol and things of that nature, of like OPSEC, of like, hey, make sure these kids they have to be older than 18, but they have to be younger than 21. But like also, we don't want anybody's real name getting out there. Like that's a big deal. But these guys are just straight up, just like, oh yeah, F-18s in the air, fist bump, flag, fire emoji. Bombs down, Brown's dead, high five. So that's not OPSEC at all. Like OPSEC is you don't talk about it.
It really that just should have been in a different place. Yep. And the other thing is that like so there are things that we can't really keep like 100% secret. And that's the other sort of thing that people and I'm not saying this is one of those instances, but I'm saying what happens in these organizations, in every organization, is you get one rule that applies in a particular instance, and that instance is repeated several times. And then that rule looks like another rule that should never be applied in any instance. So, for instance, like I couldn't go on a deployment on a ship and tell everybody where I was. I can't be like, hell yeah, we're in the North Arabian Sea, or, in this particular instance, hell yeah, we're in the fucking Red Sea or whatever. We're about to drop some fucking we're in the Mediterranean, or we're in the Red Sea. We're about to drop some bombs on some fucking Houthis today. Like that's obviously OPSEC. Like because like I've just told everybody where our fucking position is. But at the same time, like they can't really be classifiable secret information because fucking
once those bombs fall, everybody's gonna fucking know.
Well, there's that, but the other thing is like some Egyptian dude can just roll out on his fucking Dow and just be like, "Oh yeah, that's an American aircraft. I know where he is now." So, and we can't stop them from doing that. The other thing is, like, I can't, like, if we are going to go through the Suez Canal.
Right.
The Suez Canal has to know.
Everybody's going to
Suez Canal. Otherwise, we can't know.
And
but,
frankly,
like,
that's how I want my America. Like.
Yeah. And that's just, like, it's unavoidable. And so there are things that are unavoidable, and you can't really keep them. You're not supposed. You like the OPSEC is the idea that in a lot of instances you can't keep it a secret. Like you just can't. Like I can't tell. Like I couldn't tell you when I'm supposed to be leaving on a deployment when I'm necessarily supposed to be coming home, because that would be telling you what I am, like when we are planning to operate until.
Yep.
But I still have to tell people, like, hey, by the way, I'm going to be gone for like 9 months, and I have to put my car into storage, and I have to I have to get all my life ready, because I'm not going to be here for like 9 months or whatever, however long the deployment's going to be. So like there are things that I just like we can't broadcast them, but we also can't reliably keep them secret. And so because of that, then you have other issues where it's like, dude, F-18s are going to be in the air. We already know F-18s are going to be in the air at time, because there has to be a flight schedule. Like somebody had to plan this, right? Like everybody, there are moving parts that had to be put into motion before this whole thing could be taken up. So somebody somewhere is sitting there saying like, hey, I mean, like everybody in the ship already fucking knows. And these are on, everybody here in this organization already knows. Yeah, we're working the problem. Then the F-18s are in the air, and then somebody's mentioning, and then he might put it on his signal chat, and that's the issue.
It's Saturday. We're supposed to just be like out on patrol. It's gonna be a chill day. Oh, after breakfast, we gotta launch some F-18s. Not sure why. Gotta go do it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is one of those things. It's like, if they're talking about the strike or had been talking about the strike, then it's probably had been in the works, or it had been in planning for months. And so that's why I'm saying this gets to that point where
this isn't something they just decided to do overnight. It wasn't like Trump woke up one. I mean,
this house.
I'm sure he fucking wakes up and thinks this anyways. But the way it's supposed to work is, you plan this shit for a while and then you actually do it. So everybody who's involved already fucking knows.
Right.
Which, maybe that included fucking Tiny Pants Vance. I don't know that it would necessarily include fucking Tulsi and Mike Waltz, because they're supposed to be in charge of Homeland Security and shit.
Yeah, so. Tulsi is like
intelligence. She's DNI now. Yeah, I think DNI.
Yeah, DNI.
So
that's right.
She does get a little piece of this pie, but I mean, she of all people should know way better, because that's one of those things.
That's literally her thing.
What I'm trying to get at really here is that like this had already been put out on so many channels, I would imagine.
Right.
I mean, I obviously I haven't been a part of. I wasn't participating in this. Just to let you know, full disclosure. I'm just telling you like what I think what it looks like if had I been there. This is what I'm imagining it being like. This has already been put out through several official channels. Everybody is dialed in. Everybody is on board with this. And they get the feeling like it's happening, and then the only people who don't know about it at this point is AOL, so it's okay to talk about it on Signal. Like that's probably what you're looking at, actually.
But what you would say is
the right thing to do? Hell no. I mean, not. Yeah, absolutely not. Like not OPSEC. Again, because it's like the operation has not happened yet. You probably should not be talking about this, even if you were just saying F-18s are in the air. Like if it's
like a debrief, that'd be fine. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Like, fine.
Well, even then, like, it just doesn't need to be in Signal Chat. Like, there's just so many other places where this conversation can happen that is not Signal Chat or any other unofficial source.
So do you think it just boils down to laziness then?
You would be surprised how many things. You would be surprised how many things that just boil down to, we talked about it everywhere else, and then this is again because it's not classified. It's just classified adjacent. It's not really. It is an OPSEC problem, but not an OPSEC problem in the sense that this is actually going to stop an operation from going off in any reasonable way. It's an OPSEC problem in the fact that this is a terrible fucking practice. You should never ever be using this fucking like source of information. But this is what I'm getting at. Like they're using it almost like it's social media.
Right.
Like they're talking to each other like it's social media. Like you couldn't pick up like any of these men at any point in time of the day could tell somebody I need to talk to SecDef on a fucking secure line, and it could happen.
This is a much bigger, much more like embedded epidemic too. So yeah, it's
right, and that's what I'm getting at. And so you see this from like Trump, and you're just like, okay, like the guy who was on Celebrity Apprentice, on Celebrity Apprentice when I was on Watch, and I'm like half maybe even a third of his age. I was still on watch when this man was on Celebrity Apprentice, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's doing. Again,
No.
I get that,
No.
right? Like, he doesn't understand maybe all these things. He's been briefed into it. He's like kind of like picking it up, taking it as he goes, whatever, whatever. I don't have any like, ill will towards that. But my point is, these guys, they just like Pete Hegseth is this guy who he came from being a reporter, and I think he has some background in social forces or something. I've worked with social forces before.
Yeah, he was.
Those are not. Yeah,
he was a major in the National Guard. So he wasn't. I think he was attached to a special forces unit. I'm not sure if he actually did any like actual ops that are worth mentioning. He probably did, but
yeah, who knows?
think
And my
Mike
point
Waltz,
is,
Mike Waltz definitely did. So he should have a better fucking handle on things.
yeah, and then JD Vance as well. I mean, but like that's what I'm saying is like these people get into these kind of situations, and that's the other thing that struck me is that like when he said OPSEC is clean, that's not something anybody else anywhere uses, but somebody like
No.
that's like not something I've ever seen anybody say because it's so ridiculous.
It's some like movie special forces shit.
Exactly, and sometimes like people
Which,
in
I mean,
certain
kind of how he carries
communities,
himself, anyways.
right? Some people in like certain communities will pick up, they will adopt certain things. Now, maybe it doesn't mean what I think he's trying to actually say. Maybe it, because this is another thing, is like maybe that's a technical phrase for something that, like the word, like the phrase "no factor," like that means something very specific, but like it may not mean exactly what you think it means when they're saying it. So maybe it does convey something that I don't understand, which is fine.
But the problem
like,
is that it would still be wrong. We know it would be wrong because there was an Atlantic journalist in that chat.
Yeah. So again, I don't know, but like, it's just a silly thing to say,
Yep.
and it speaks to like this level of like they're very insular on their like communities that they talk to. But I get the sense that the way they're talking to each other, especially the way JD Vance talks, and especially the way other people like talk in that chat, because some people are just like very to the point, very specific about their details. But JD Vance comes over here and he says something about like, I can't believe we're bailing out Europe again. This is like, that just does not need to be in a like, I'm not saying it's like inappropriate in the sense that it was like wrong to say that. You're allowed to talk about your political machinations everywhere.
That seems like the most appropriate thing to discuss in a Signal chat for him.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I'm saying like he could do that face to face with all of these people at pretty much any time he wanted to do that.
Oh yeah.
They're like you could talk. I'm saying it's not like it's not an operational concern whatsoever, really. No. It's more of a political concern.
He could be on True Social just like, saying that shit all the time too, and people would lap it up.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's almost like it's a tweet.
Right.
Like, why are you tweeting at somebody you worked with? I didn't tweet at you and say like, maybe I'll have like you. It's like you sent somebody out on a food run, and then they asked in the group chat, "What does everybody want?" And you're like, I'm feeling like tacos are better than hamburgers. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you want? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, it's just this weird conjecture that is not official. And I'm like, I asked you what the fuck you wanted. Tell me what the fuck you want. Like, this is an official setting.
Yep.
We should be discussing, like, how we're going to do this.
Sir,
not if
the
we
codes. I need the codes, sir. I don't know. I'm feeling really conflicted. Sir, I need the codes for the Big Mac right now. Yeah.
Basically. So that's the strangeness of it to me, is that like you would use, I mean, look, this comes from a person, me, that doesn't want to be on Signal chat, doesn't really like the idea of social media. But if you're on social media, I think it's training you to operate and communicate in these weird passive aggressive ways, because the whole thing just felt passive aggressive to me.
It's not even passive aggressive. It's passive aggressive plus parasocial plus other things. It's horrible how it's rewired.
It's so weird to me though. Like I don't get it because maybe I don't come from the generation that like embellishes in this, and I don't get into a lot of this, so maybe I'm just too far outside to really understand. But I look at this and I'm like, you could look this person in the eyeballs. It's not like you were a parasocial in the sense that I'm saying this to somebody I'm never going to meet face to face. And I hope they see what I said, and I hope they feel real bad about my opinion because I don't like them or something. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
These people are in the same room. in pictures together all the fucking time. There's evidence of JD Vance and Pete Hegseth in the same room together.
Yep.
Like, they don't have to do this. Like, it's weird to me. I don't understand why we're having this kind of conversation in a Signal chat.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to be on there anyway. They apparently like it. That's what it seems like to me.
And that's the
that they're having fun with this.
That's where I'm getting at. Like, this seems ghoulish. Like, are they enjoying the fact that these people are getting hurt? Like, I don't.
It's very on brand with the sort of like ASMR of people getting shipped to El Salvador kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
that's the way I.
Also, just
that's the way I feel about it.
Ghoulish, like.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as somebody who worked in law enforcement for many, many years, I didn't like putting people in handcuffs. I don't like that. I don't like restricting people's movement and freedom. Like, straight up. And I knew a lot of cops that didn't. A lot of cops and correctional officers, parole and probation officers. DHS guys don't have to put people in cuffs very often, but they didn't like it because they would just make us do it. Anyways, it's one of those things of just like, if this is what you enjoy, I don't know that you're the right person I want running this. I want somebody who has to like think real. I want somebody who loses sleep over bombing people, even if they're bad. So I don't know. I'm getting to this just like the casual emojis and things of that nature, and just like there's emojis and JD Vance is bitching about bailing out Europe, and there's a reporter in the chat and they don't know it, and he joined and left and they didn't know it. And I'm just wondering when the other shoe is going to finally drop.
I don't know, man. I'm beginning to think, like, you made a point, and I don't really want to, like, super... I mean, I don't want to give any credence that I can't give to it, but, like, I'm just saying, like, maybe this is a Tim Waltz op. Like, you know, maybe that's what this really is. Because it seems performative to me, but the idea is, to some extent, I think, like, the Trump that you see on television is the Trump that you would meet in person, roughly.
Oh,
like, it's not really performative for him as much. I think he's really just like this all the fucking time. And I wonder...
Go ahead.
I left to wonder here, but if this is like just who they are all the time, so it's just like you see them in these weird group chats.
And so, if you've never watched I highly recommend you watch a couple of Trump rallies, all the way through, and they are long and they are rambly,
extremely long.
But he shows you exactly the type of person he is. They cut so much from like what they show, even on, like, they cut some of the worst stuff that they could be showing on MSNBC, mostly because he uses a lot more foul language than I thought, and they don't like it. But like, honestly, that's part of the endearing part. Like, that's fine. Like when that Democratic said, like, we're gonna fuck Trump, I'm like, you start. I don't want to, but like, she got the spirit, but she confused. But like, I get that these are people. So I start to understand that, like, Trump and these people really do think these tariffs are going to work the way they think they do. They're just not going to. Like, they believe what they are doing is the best. They don't, in a lot of ways, they don't believe what they're doing is in some ways evil. But it's just scary, because I think some of the, like, Pete Hegseth, and my biggest, I have a lot of complaints about Pete Hegseth. Good old Pete
Hedgehog.
Say again?
Good old Pete Hedgehog.
Yeah, but Pete Hegseth has had an author and quoted and talked about a guy on his podcast so many times, who is a white nationalist and wants to reinstate slavery.
Which white guy? There's a few of those.
Oh, let me find about him. Hang on.
You talk about Curtis Yavin?
That's the one. Thank you, Monkey. He is...
Him and good old Tiny Pants follow that too.
He sure do. And that's terrifying. Like, why do you want, like, talking about how slavery is important to the white family? And I'm just like, what? And then Pete gets super drunk and is drinking fucking champagne, and he gets out of a hot tub on Fox News, and he's got a big fat iron cross on his chest. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, if I saw that when I was working in the prison, I'd be like, write down white supremacist tattoo to add to prison profile later. I'm like, I'm not kidding. Like, legitimately, that is what I was like, oh my god, those are.
I do like how they've branded him Whiskey Leaks. That's kind of that's a pretty genius fucking stab. I like that term, Whiskey Leaks.
So I do love the clip. I'm working on some effects and video packages for the stream and for the show, and I have a very, very good clip of Pete Hegseth getting off the plane and walking right up to the microphone and going like finger quotes war plans, and he looks so drunk. His cheeks are just red, and he's just like, no, there were no war plans. There were no war plans. There were no war plans. So I'm gonna work that in.
You think he's like a functioning alcoholic?
Oh, I know.
He's definitely a functioning alcoholic.
As somebody who used to be a functioning alcoholic, I absolutely see it in him in a lot of ways. And
because there were definitely guys I used to work with, and I didn't know it until I smelled it. I literally, it was not obvious to me at all until I could smell it.
Yep.
I was like, oh.
Yep. And I bet he's probably the same way.
Yep.
Okay.
And frankly, that sucks. I want you to get help. I don't think you should be the Secretary of Defense.
No, you should be nowhere near any sort of public office.
Yeah. Especially
you shouldn't be the janitor at the Pentagon.
I think you should I literally, so we have a signal chat because it's funny. And I renamed it Totally Not Secret War Plans. But I said, anybody got Hegseth's number from the leaks? I'm going to tell him to resign. And I really do think he should, because if you bow out now, you could probably write a book and salvage this and go back to Fox News and everything will be okay. But if
I don't know, man. If he resigns at this point, he's probably gonna go awry of fucking Daddy Trump.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is a way out for him, because I don't think going back to Fox News is a way out for anyone to begin with. But I just don't I think he benefits more from getting off an airplane drunk and saying some shit into a microphone, because it just generates you've just heard of him. He's he's the worst pirate you've ever heard of, but he's the worst SecDef you've ever heard of, but you have heard of him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. But there are always going to be people in that sect who love these people. We're never going to convince anybody otherwise, certain people otherwise. And that's fine. They're still our neighbors. And if they want to buy Pete Hegseth's terrible book and watch his terrible show on Sunday nights on Fox News, that's fine.
If they want to buy a Make America Great Again hat that's made in China.
Yep. It's so funny because every day I drive past my neighbor's house, he has a Trump 2024 flag up under the American flag, and I know he's a veteran because he's always wearing grunt style T-shirts. And
oh God,
yeah, he's one of them. And he's 65, and he has a 40-year-old Thai wife. So
hold up, he's 65 and he's wearing grunt style T-shirts.
Oh yeah, he's one of them. He loves his motorcycle and being in the garage.
Oh.
But those Trump flags, they're all made in China. So he's super lazy because everybody's super lazy. And so the Trump flag is just fucked up. It is just tatters. Because of course it is. Because it's made as cheaply as possible. Because they don't care about you. They don't care about the product. They just want your money. Mm-hmm. His American flag, probably made in China. But made by a company that was hey, make sure they don't fucking fall apart if we're going to get $14.95 from people. And so his American flag, perfect. His Trump flag, all fucked up. Oh yeah. I don't get me wrong, Tommy. I see you in chat. Because his Social Security getting cut, I am waiting for the day that gets pulled down, because I know he ain't got no job. He ain't going nowhere. He is just collecting Social Security all day. So
he might be collecting veterans benefits, but those are probably going to get canned too.
There's that as well. So that's how that's going to go. So I really want to thank you guys for talking about this stuff today. It really shed some light on some things, and I think it's good to always have some perspective of just hey, you hear it from this side, no, this is totally illegal, they should all be in jail, to this side of this is government transparency, we're the best. No, it's actually always somewhere in the middle of no, it's you just shouldn't have been fucking doing it. why quit being so weird about everything? Just stop.
It is very bizarre to me. I really just don't have answers for
Well,
like how it even got to this point.
Yep.
I mean, we have a fucking president doing fucking advertisements for a fucking car company on the White House fucking
It's all computer.
ground. So it's all computer.
It's all computer.
It's I mean it's just
We are on the Onion News timeline, boys.
Oh,
The news
I
is
know.
memes now. We're on the Onion News timeline.
No, the Onion is a legitimate news source now.
I know. You're right. Actually, I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. The Onion is a legitimate news source because it just tries to say fucked up things that would never happen, and then they happen.
And then they happen.
Like, God,
that's right.
Fucking damn it!
I'm going to a comedy show in May for a comedian named Josh Johnson. You can see him on The Daily Show. I'm very excited. And he has a lot of good political insights and stuff. I highly recommend him. He is the one who got me into reading Martin Luther King and got me totally hooked on Martin Luther King and Gandhi. He had a very good skit about how TV used to be for entertainment, but now life is TV. And it just feels like it, and I hate it. Life is supposed to be boring, not like TV.
We're not supposed to be having fucking historic events every fucking day.
Correct. So,
But we do get to exist in the timeline where Master Chief AI, an AI voiceover of Master Chief, tells you how to change the oil in your 2006 Nissan Murano, and that I gotta tell you, not worth it, but like
I want to die.
at least something's good.
That's true. I do like Master Chief. I will think about him when I'm in the trenches. What would Master Chief do?
I will say, if you ever watch any of the videos of like presidents playing, like they have AI voiceovers of presidents playing like fucking Scrabble or fucking Settlers of Catan.
Yeah,
that shit. That's what
hilarious.
that is what the evil AI overlords. That is the kind of shit I'm here for.
I am the most like both pro AI and anti AI person that exists, because one, I think they should just take all the limits off of it, let it do all the illegal shit, let it try to take over humanity, because then they actually have to fucking do something about it. Then they'll actually be waking up and go, oh, something bad's happening. So, but on the other hand, I hate that it's stealing from artists. I hate that it's stealing from journalists. I hate that it's stealing from regular people who post their life work on the internet, because it is. When the Sam Altman is like, well, if we can't steal, why are we even doing this? Like, well, then maybe you shouldn't be. So I'm in the boat of like, let AI be as crazy and as bad and as horrible as possible.
Just do what they did in Avengers Ultron and release it into the internet, and then here we go. We're gonna fucking get targeted within like 5 minutes.
It's super funny that we bring that up, because we have a story a little bit about AI in our gaming news section, which will be coming up very shortly. So this has been Crying is a Free Action. It's a podcast about news and politics, North Dakota, United States, North Carolina, Florida, wherever we're at, which is all over. We're trying to bring the news to you. If you like this, show it to somebody. There's a share button somewhere. We have VODs on YouTube. We have some VODs on Twitch. I really hope that people want to start spreading the word about this place. I ordered a paper cutter to make logos and stickers and things of that nature, and I'm going to put them all over. And I got the most permanent freaking vinyl I could. Like, and I mean, it like, oh, to take it off, it's going to ruin the finish underneath. Good. I want to commit a crime. So the problem is my paper cutter didn't come in, and then I got an email saying like, hey, it's delayed. Do you want a refund? I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to wait 2 more weeks and reorder it. So easyvoteND.com is where you can go. I got a couple of articles up there about, I did an article about some trans lawmakers in Montana. I really like their story and how they accomplished what they needed to accomplish. I'm doing an ongoing, I guess, blog post about politicians in North Dakota I don't think you should vote for. And I give my reasons why there, and I think you should look out for it and check it. And I'll let people know when there are updates to that here. I'm going to add 2 more names to it in the next week So look for that. Al said he's going to write us an article, and I'm really excited to read it because I think I wanted to ask him way earlier, and then he had an idea, and I was like, you should write an article about it. So I was hoping he would want to write something. So I think that would be really good. Other than that, I've got a protest I'm going to on April 5th. It's the 50-51 hands-off America thing. It's so the whole thing is it's 50 states, 50 capitals, one day we're going to protest. I'm going to that, and I'm going to take some pictures and maybe some video, and we're going to see what it's like, and we're going to talk to people. I'm going to make a sign. I haven't decided on what I'm going to make yet. If I can't
put Manson's face on it.
I want to, like, you had so there was a really good option in our Signal chat, but like I would have to go to like Office Depot or one of those places and see if they could
get it laminated.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like I don't have a problem doing it, but can they do all this in a week? Like I need to go there Monday. So
yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay, well we got to figure it out then, and I'll gladly post pictures. So if that falls through, I'm just going to get a bunch of cardboard and glitter and glue and just say protect trans kids or something. Something good I believe in. If you're in the Bismarck, North Dakota area on April 5th, that's a Saturday, a week from today, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, there will be a protest at the Capitol building. It's not hard to find. It's the only tall building in Bismarck. So go to it. I'm not kidding. It's 18 stories, and I think like the next biggest building we have is like 7, and they're not even close to each other. So
that's still kind of tall. It's fine.
Yeah, and I mean it's a big building. Like it's not tiny. It's not, the size doesn't matter. It's how you use it.
I was talking about the 7-story one.
Oh, that's a little small.
You were just saying size doesn't matter.
Nah, it does if it's not small. Anywho.
Wow. Close your eyes.
Oh.
It's about the girth of the building.
Actually the girth of all of our 7-story buildings here are quite good. And most of them are like multi-purpose where they're like commercial and residential, like a nice big city would have them. Anyways, I'm hoping, because I'll actually be able to be off work before 9 p.m. that day, that I'll be able to like share some of the video and stuff that I take on the stream that night. So if you're in the Bismarck area and you would like to go, I have 3 other seats in my car. We can just meet at my business and we can go after work. I would love to take people if you're listening to this. So
take your publicly available transit. Oh wait.
We have buses here. Actually, the bus system here,
do they run on time?
Yeah, no, actually the bus system here doesn't suck at all. Like I wish they would put more into it.
Here.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. So give credit where credit's due. Like they do buses right. So this has been Crying as a Free Action. It's a free action because you can do it whenever you want. You can do it while you're at work. You can do it while you're on a podcast. You can do it while you're playing video games. Speaking of video games, we're going to take a little break here because I got pissed like a racehorse. When we come back, I have some video game news, and then maybe if Monkey's feeling up to it, we'll play some video games, maybe some Monster Hunter. Taylor, are you going to join us? You're going to go pass out?
Yeah, probably.
Tyler, if you want to join us for the video game news, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I think he needs to go to sleep too.
Oh, that's reasonable.
I actually have to go to sleep for the same reason Tom has to go to sleep. We're hanging out tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to us to have somebody who is affected by this and knows something about us on the show, and that I can share it with my community and people at large. So thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, man, it was great. It was great being on.
Excellent. I'd love to have you back too. So you're more than welcome to just like come on in anytime that we're just like, I don't know, you got anybody who wants to be on? My system supports up to 4 people. So we're going to take a break then. Thank you again, everybody. We'll be back in part 2 with some video game news.